Good morning.
Good morning.
I am so thrilled to be here. Would like to begin with just saying thank you to the staff here at Southwest Tennessee Community College. Dr. Salam, thank you for the invitation. And it's definitely an honor to be here. I'll briefly introduce myself. Well, I'll just introduce myself and we'll just see how it goes. I am a native Memphian. I grew up in a community called Fraser in the north side of town. I graduated from Westside High School. I actually attended Westside from kindergarten to 12th grade. And so it's funny now when you meet people who are new to the city or you meet younger people, younger than me, they say, oh, I thought that was just a middle school. No, it was a high school at one point in time. We were the smallest high school in the city of Memphis. My graduating class had, if I remember correctly, 42 students. And I think 2 of us, if I'm not mistaken, have college degrees. So we were a very small school. We were what will probably be considered now a low performing school. And that's one of the things that led to the school actually being closed along with the low enrollment at the time. So interestingly enough, I got an opportunity to serve as an administrator at Westside at one point. And I thought that was absolutely awesome. I see we have a fellow Wildcat in the building. Tamara, how you doing? Mrs. Boyd, I don't think I've seen you since the wedding. Congratulations on the wedding. Married to another former Wildcat. So that's absolutely awesome. Just thinking about where we come from and where we are. Tamara works here at Southwest and is able to join us for a moment. So thank you for taking the time from your schedule to be able to be here today. After Westside, I attended the University of Memphis. I got my bachelor's in journalism, my master's in instruction and curriculum leadership, and my doctorate in higher and adult education from the University of Memphis. And I think back to one of my high school English teachers, Coach Richardson. He was a wrestling coach. He was a 9th grade English teacher. He was a real cool guy. And I gave him some of my work one day. And I, turned in my work pretty often. And he said, Marcus, you're a pretty good writer. And that was a huge compliment to me. It showed me that he took a personal interest. And from there, I shared some of my writings from home. And what Coach Richardson didn't know is that I was dealing with a great deal of what we now call childhood trauma. Adverse childhood experiences. And writing was my therapy. And so I was writing poetry, and I gave him a poem. Read this, Coach, since you say I'm a good writer. And he read it. He said, "Is this how you feel? Is this what you're going through?" I told him, "Yeah." He had no idea, and I would continue to share my work with Coach Richardson. As a 9th grade English student. And before I went to 10th grade, now we were so small, we only had one 9th grade English teacher. So everybody took Coach Richardson, right? And then in 10th grade, everybody took Miss Poole. And in 11th grade, we took Miss Poole. And so he went to Miss Poole and he said, you gotta read Marcus's poetry. You gotta read it. And so that bond that I had with him, it carried over to my relationship with Miss Poole, and she continued to read my poetry. And then before I went to 12th grade, she told Miss Russell, make sure you read Marcus's poetry. And Miss Russell pulled me to the side one day before I went to the 12th grade. And she said, there's a citywide high school newspaper program, and I want you to apply for it. I think you would be great. And I'm a high school senior. I'm on the basketball team. I'm on the track team. I'm on the cross country team. I'm not thinking about a newspaper program. having fun. And so I didn't apply. And a week or two went by. Miss Russell said, "What happened to that application?" I said, I didn't get around to it yet. She said, "Come in my classroom and sit down right now." And she literally sat me down as I filled out the application. And I can say it made me. Applied to the program, was accepted into the program, and that's what introduced me to the University of Memphis. That's what introduced me to the field of journalism. That's how I ended up eventually becoming the 2003 newspaper editorial student of the year at University of Memphis. That's how I ended up receiving the Excellence in Sports Writing Award from the National Association of Black Journalists, University of Memphis chapter. That's how I ended up interning for the Commercial Appeal and Associated Press and the Memphis Grizzlies and the Birmingham Post-Herald and Birmingham, Alabama, where I was able to cover the Birmingham Barons the year after Michael Jordan left. All of those opportunities stem from teachers showing interest, people showing interest in people, people not just doing a job. And it's a very interesting transition into today's conversation, because as I was speaking with Dr. Salam and doing my research, I kept seeing all these great acronyms. And I would ask, I would go online and search and see what I could find. Okay, what does this stand for? What does MOST stand for? You guys kind of explain how that morphed into something different. What is ICE? How does that work? Okay. Then we got the Building Minds Empowerment Conference. Better Minds Empowerment Conference. And so I was curious as to how this would begin. I like to be in a room with people and kind of feel the audience and read the room a little bit. Everybody loves a great story. But this was a great segue to really get started. And to Brother Robinson, great job. Great job. I took notes. You talked about poverty and incarceration. And those are things that we can circle back to. Absolutely areas that impact our community, because people gonna find a way to eat. People gonna find a way to take care of themselves, and we're gonna circle on back. But great points to bring those out. You don't answer this question because I know you know the answer. All right, he mentioned going from ordinary to extraordinary. Now, who can tell me, act like I'm in the classroom, who can tell me, this means we gotta raise our hand, right? The difference between ordinary and extraordinary. Not you. Go ahead.
Going over and above what is expected with excellence.
Going over and above what you're expected to do with excellence. That's an outstanding response. Would you like to add to, what's your name, please?
Angie Stewart Woods.
Miss Wood, Angie, Gabriel. What are you gonna say, Gabriel?
I feel like excellence. I feel like what you said about how I like what you said about your childhood trauma. I think that the broken people or who have struggled are often most evolved, most creative and gifted. And I like to think those gifted people, I think you should strive to do your best. Because if you want to live a better life, education, learning, and I'm not expecting perfection. And I don't think there is such thing as perfection to some degree. But I do think that you should strive to leap a leap of faith. Strive to jump to a leap. Do your best and you'll go far.
Absolutely. I like to think the same way you like to think. All right. Absolutely. One of my favorite cliches is broken crayon, steel color. That's one of my favorites, and that you reminded me of that cliche when you talked about trauma and still achieving excellence. And one thing we have to remember about cliches is they become cliches because they are so relevant and they are so poignant and they are often right on target. So it's okay to say a cliche, right? We original thought is beautiful, but sometimes somebody already said it, so we can repeat it. And as long as you give them credit or give somebody credit, then you're not plagiarizing, right? So that's for the students who, when you're writing your papers and all that, make sure you cite all your references, all right? So we're not plagiarizing. Go ahead, Jay. She got right back to it. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is the word extra. You take extra and then you spell ordinary. The compound word is extraordinary. So just as was mentioned up front, it is going all out. It is doing your best. And that is the difference between ordinary and extraordinary. Great point, brother. Great point. One of my favorite, I shouldn't say, well, I can say favorite. It's okay to have favorites. One of my favorite principles, I'm an administrator with Memphis Shelby County Schools, and I've worked over 20, I'm in year 20. Believe it or not, I'm giving my age, but it's okay. All right. I probably worked in about 12 different institutions. And this will be my first time going into an institution for a 3-year span in about 10 years. I worked at University of Memphis for 5 years. I was a program coordinator in journalism. Giving back, I directed the same program that sent me through high school. So a lot of my work has really been heart work. It's been passion work. So again, excited about that opportunity. You talked about forgiveness and not to re-give your speed, brother. You just said some great things. And one thing that I remember, again, this wasn't mine, but I believe I was watching a movie. I'll just say it wasn't mine. But the point was, you can't move forward with your foot on somebody's neck. And, that became a popular cliche for a while. Put your foot on their neck. Keep your foot on their neck. Well, if your foot is on their neck, how can you move forward? Great job. And, it's a great transition to this introduction to college excellence conversation. Better Minds Empowerment Conference, focusing on the true human for better outcomes. I want to make sure I get all of that in there as we have this conversation today. And I want us to continue to be interactive. So at any point, you can raise your hand and I'll acknowledge you. In Hawaii, they do school in a circle. Different cultures do different things. So this is not a situation where Dr. Matthews has all of the answers, and I'm here to share all of the answers with all of the people who are pointed towards me. That's not what this is today, okay? So we can imagine that we're in a circle, and the picture of that circle means that there is no focus person, okay? But I'm facilitating a discussion today. Let's look at it that way. All right, I'm facilitating the discussion. And the point about the true human. I was an English teacher for about 8 years in the classroom. I love words, my journalism background, I love writing. And so I started to look and say, okay, when we say true, what does that mean? So the real thing, the real McCoy.
I mean, mean, the first humans were first forms of human civilization was of course in Africa, but that was like a long time ago, and now there are so many different races, and some of them think that they're the true race, but in reality, they're not the true race. No one really is.
I'm glad you said that because one of the and I'm going in my phone because I'm one of those kind of nerds that I just go and I look up words and I spend time in the dictionary and it's okay. I enjoy it. When we talk about true, it's aligned to its purpose. So when we talk about true, it's not about is it a lie or is it truth? That's not what we're talking about, right? If this item, if I'm connecting with a hammer, there's a nail under here. I need that nail to be true, right? That means I need it to be flush. I need it to be straight so that it will align what's on top with what's underneath. Right? So when we say, is it true? That's a construction word as well. And that's one of the beauties of words is that there's not just one way to look at a word. And that's why I like to go to the dictionary, right? Because when we say, and I had that saying, okay, well, true. No, it's not one way because we all have different skill sets, right? I'm a communicator. I'm a facilitator. I'm a speaker. I'm a writer. I know what my strengths are. So for me to be true, I need to be communicating. I need to be doing exactly what it is that I'm doing right now. And one of the connecting to Brother Robinson, when we talk about poverty, there's a book, it's called Savage Inequalities. And it talks about, the inequalities we face. That there's a miseducation of the Negro as well. And then there's, I could go on. But the point that I want to get to, everyone doesn't have the same opportunities. And that's an issue with equity and equality. Those are two different words. Anybody want to take a shot? The difference between equity and equality?
Equality in this game is that people are treated equal no matter what you are. But equity is just, you think, I'm gonna give it my best shot. I think equity is something about you think you're the only real one, or you think you were raised a certain way and you think that that's the best way, like tribalism.
Bro, my brother said, I'm gonna give him my best shot. Give me your name one more time, I'm gonna write it down. Gabriel, okay, because I know we this is not gonna be my last time hearing from you, Gabriel Alexander. All right. Equity, right, and equality. So equal means the same. So if I had 100 donuts and I gave everyone an equal share, we would get the same number of donuts. That would be equal. Okay? Now, would that necessarily be equitable? Jan, I see you shaking your head no. Why would that not be equitable?
Because one person may be more hungry than somebody else.
Very good. Very good. Anyone else want to add or have a thought to go along with Jan? Yes. What's your name?
Stacy.
Go ahead, Stacey.
They already have donuts in their possession.
Right. So equal and equitable are not the same. So again, that when we talk about resources, we need to feed the hungry people need the donuts. It's 100 donuts and it's 25 people and I want 4. I just had breakfast, but it don't matter. Give me my 4 because that's my equal share. No, I don't need it. I just ate. Let's feed these other people who need these donuts, right? Probably should be something healthy. Probably should be some fruit or something. But that was the first thing that came to mind. So when we think about equity, equality, our education system, we didn't have lacrosse at Westside. We didn't have a chess team at Westside. We didn't have robotics. We didn't have CTE. We didn't have, and I could go on about what we did not have at dear old Westside High. But we had some teachers that loved us. We had some true humans. We had some true, I'm talking about, will make you sit down and get it right. Will make you do it over and over until you got it right. Will call your mama. Will have your mama come up to the school, and that's embarrassing. And some folks' mama really know how to embarrass. Fortunately, I didn't have one of those mamas. We wait till we got home. She didn't want to cut up too. She didn't cut up in public. My dad didn't cut up in public, but when we got home, we dealt with the situation. But again, to those resources, I was fortunate enough to have it discovered that I was a writer. And it led to an opportunity. And that opportunity led to more and more opportunities. So again, I'm gonna go through a couple points. I want to make sure I mention it, then we'll kind of double back when we need to. The true human. We talked about the word true, right? Genuine. One of my favorite words. Anybody got any other words? I can go on. Organic. I love that word, and it's popular now, right? Where we talk about being organic. What does that mean? There you go. Go ahead.
I think about being a humans also that think about being a humans that even the individual is always changing their selves or just changing constantly.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you're not even a real human because you're still evolving. You're not even your true self. So what makes you think others, like other races, are like you?
Very good. Very good. And that's the interesting thing about growth, because we should always be changing. We should always be evolving. And that's kind of, it's gonna go with the human part. We were talking about true, right? And then when we talk about human, what's that mean? That word, human. Somebody other than Gabriel now. There's a lot of us in here. Well, human, what comes to mind? There's no wrong answer. Creation. Creation. Can I ask for a little more where that came from?
We talk about organic human purpose. Even hearing your story, Matthew, his story, it's who God created you, and how does that become? Because like you said, not everyone is brought up or created with the same purpose. You are a writer. He is a communicator. I am a thinker. So that embodies, that wholeness is still human. It's all different, created different in such a way that you're able to be fully true to who you are. He's able to be fully true to who he is. Even to Gabriel, what he was saying, the human is the mind. And there's a philosophy that talks about we are all just minds, which I partially believe that. It's like our thinking has to have an open mindset based on how that goes. You have to continuously be open to evolving yourself because you will continue to have your foot on your neck.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Wise words, wise words. And you know, the human, some will say dirt man. Dirt man. And if you go down into that root, H-U-M, human, that humus, right? That dirt. When people are buried, they often say dust to dust. And then that same word, you get humble, you get humanity, right? So that H-U-M, that it's that person, a true person, a real person, being real, being true to who you are. And again, I don't take credit for what's not mine. But I heard somebody say, even when you come up, you got to stay down. And I said, woo-wee. That was powerful. Because when we talk about being down, anybody want to help the group understand what that means? What does it mean to be down? Being humble. Being humble. Anyone else?
You say now, I think it this way. Pride comes before the fall. And I think the thing about sin and virtues, I don't think you should lean towards one or the other. I think you should balance them.
Man, you must have been in my notes.
Just and I'm not smart mom.
Okay. We got it in common. I got a smart bone too. All right. So when we talk like people say down for the cause, down for the people, right? Down for whatever. We won't be down for whatever. But to be down, to stay connected, and see, that's that humanity. That's that humbleness. That's remembering that you are from the earth. We are the earth's people. But we also want to come up. What does that mean, right? Come up. We hear a lot of talk now about high vibrations. I'm vibrating high. I'm vibrating very high. What does that mean? Think about a tree. A tree is often as deeply rooted in the ground as it is high in the air. You know, you pull up a little twig and you can see, you know, the little bottom come out of that little twig, and that little twig is just about the same size as whatever it is that you pulled out of the ground. So just imagine when we look at these huge trees that are feet, hundreds of feet high, they going that deep down in the ground. That means what? They are growing up and down at the same time. And they are what? Organic. And you are what? Organic. So should we only be elevating? No. We should also be being grounded as we elevate. That's that true human. We call it lifting as we climb. Giving back, paying it forward. That's that true human. So as you project most students matriculate out into the world, you must pay it forward. You must give back. You must remember where you came from. When I graduated with my doctorate from the University of Memphis in 2017, I told myself, so I'm gonna give Memphis 1 year. If I don't find my purpose, if I don't find my fit, if I don't find my place, if I don't find my wife, I'm leaving. I'm gonna be in DC or Atlanta, with some progressive people that's trying to move forward. Because I've been in Memphis for 37 years, and I'm not sure what else is here for me. That's me, Marcus talking to Marcus in real life. And I got the opportunity. I took a job at Craigmont Middle School as English teacher. I live in the Bartlett Raleigh area. You know what? 3 minutes from the house. I could ride a bike if I want to. I'm gonna go up here for a year, teach English, and I'm looking for my higher ed job because my doctorate is actually in higher ed. Right? My plan was to be at one point president of a university, and then I got away from titles. And I said, you know what? It don't matter what you call me. It don't matter what my job title says. I want to help people. But I like the campus. I love the university atmosphere, and I learned that while working at the University of Memphis as project director coordinator for 5 years. So I said, you know what? I'm getting this higher ed degree. The only way you get a job in higher ed, you got Memphis, you got Southwest, you got Lemoyne, you got Christian Brothers, you got Rhodes, where you get out, right? So I'm sending out these applications. I said, I'm gonna just be an English teacher, you know, in the neighborhoods. This is something I know how to do. It comes second nature. I love teaching. It's easy, right? And I got a call. They said, hey, the principal at Westside resigned. And there's a new principal coming from out of town, and he needs help. They said they off chain over there. And so, actually, they didn't tell me what side. They said it was in the school in Fraser, and it was when I talked to the principal. Let me get my facts straight. And I talked to the principal, and he said, "I'm going to Westside." I said, "You joking? You can't." He said, "No, why you say that?" I said, "Man, I was in Westside in kindergarten, 12th grade." He said, "I need you. Come on." I said, "Well, let's meet and talk." And we met and we had one conversation. And I left my English teacher role with Memphis Shelby County Schools and went to the ASD, the Achievement School District, and joined him over at Westside. When I say it was on like a pot of neck bones, I went into my school and I could not believe that we had not progressed the way we should have progressed at that point in time. And again, the high school had already closed. And the way the ASD works, it's the bottom 5% of low performing schools in the state of Tennessee. Not the bottom 5% in Memphis. Not the bottom 5% in Shelby County. The bottom 5% in all of the state of Tennessee. The state takes those schools over, and the Achievement School District was set up to run those schools. Okay, that happened about 10 years ago. Unfortunately, the efforts have not been extremely successful. But that's another conversation for another day or later. And I talked to my peer group, my advisor group, my mentor group, and that's another thing, Project Most students, that I'm gonna mention it when I go through my points for you all, but you gotta get your mentors. Those of you who are interning with Jan, don't let her go. Look, I call my mentors from high school, from college, and I'm detouring, but I gotta tell this story, y'all. I gotta tell this story. I was interning at the Memphis Grizzlies in 2001. This is the first year that the Grizzlies came to Memphis. They called over to the University of Memphis and they said, we need somebody that knows sports, that's excited, that knows basketball, that can write. And the sponsor, Candace Johnson, she said, you need Marcus Matthews. So I reached out to the Grizzlies and I got in their program, and I wasn't really excited because I didn't want to be a Memphis Grizzly employee per se. I wanted to be a writer. I had put myself in a box and said that this is what I'm good at, this is what I can do, it's one of my skills, but it's not the only thing I can do. I hadn't opened my mind enough yet to understand that I have the ability to do anything, right? So I went in with that closed mindset, and I was a PR associate, public relations, media relations. And I would go before the games and make sure that the reporters had, their peanuts and their hot dogs. And we had these media packets we would pass out. We would put them on press row. We worked for the media. I wanted to be the media. So there was my disconnect. And I was always looking for a segue to be the media. Like, how can I parlay this into an opportunity with the commercial appeal, or an opportunity with USA Today or Sports Illustrated, right? Meanwhile, there's a guy by the name of Tom Penn. He was assistant general manager of the Memphis Grizzlies. And he walked up to me one day and he introduced himself. He said, "Hey, I'm Tom. Been noticing you working with the team. You do a great job. Here's my card. Give me a call one day. Let's do some lunch." I'm 21 years old, talking to the assistant general manager of the Memphis Grizzlies, and he's welcoming me. But in my mind, I want to be a rival. I don't want to work for the Grizzlies. I never called Tom. I never did lunch with Tom. I was watching ESPN Sports Center one night after an NBA game, and they brought in NBA Vice President Tom Penn. And I'm kicking myself on the couch because that man reached out to me and I didn't reach back because I had a closed mindset. But I also did not understand mentorship. I didn't understand relationship building. I didn't get that part of it. And so we'll double back to that when I talk about my points for most students, right? It's not just about getting a degree. And see, don't get confused and think that you're gonna walk away with this associate's in business, and then you're gonna, get your bachelor's somewhere in business administration, and then FedEx is gonna hire you to be CEO. Okay? Don't get confused and think that that's the way it works. There are a lot of steps between high school, college diploma, and CEO. Right? You have to put the work in. And it goes back to that same tree we see the fruit, the oranges and the apples, and they so bright and they shiny and they are delicious. And we want the fruit. Give me the fruit. I want the fruit of my labor. I worked 4 years for a degree. I worked 2 years for an associate. Where my fruit at? That is, you just getting above ground. You are just getting above ground because you were human from the dirt. So you starting at ground level. You starting at level 0. You formed up out the dirt. You were a little bit over the ground. That work that you put in, those nights that you're studying, those papers, that's to get the degree. You have to start over on the job. Now, the right position may become available at the right time. Your resume may end up in the right hand. Bless you. When I was working at University of Memphis, I was talking to this young lady. She was a journalism student and she was getting ready to graduate. I had never seen her ever in life. And a lot of the journalism students would kind of hang around. They would work for the school newspaper, or they would be in the broadcast studio, or, they would come we had speakers come all the time. So we kind of had like a family atmosphere going on. I had never seen this young lady. She said, "Yeah, I'm about to graduate. I just went to class and went home." I said, "Okay, well, congratulations. yeah, I'm applying for some jobs. She told me what she was applying for. I said, okay. I said, have you done any internships? No, I didn't intern. I just went to class and went home. Okay. You in any organizations, you join any groups, you know? We had National Association of Black Journalists. We had PRSSA for the public relations students. We had all of these organizations to help with networking. No, I just went to class and went home. But I'm blessed and highly favored. I said, okay. Now what happens when your resume, blessed and highly favored, is in the same stack with somebody else who's blessed and highly favored, but they did internships and they joined organizations? How does that work? She didn't have an answer for it, and I asked her for real. I'm gonna be serious with you. I'm gonna keep it 100, 1,000. There are stacks of resumes. I've been on hiring committees where we have to break the resumes up. You take 10, you take 10, you take 10, I'm gonna take 10, you take 10, and after all of us take 10, you come back with 1 out of your 10. And I'll come with 1 out of my 10. Now we got 5 candidates. And guess what? We're only gonna interview 3 of the 5. So when we come back with our 1, we gotta make a group decision. Now, if you wanna fight for somebody, you can lay down and fight for them. But what the group say, that's what we're gonna do. So I'm sure out of those 50 candidates, maybe 30 of them might have been blessed and highly favored. So it's gonna take some work, right? Because even for the blessed and highly favored folks, faith without works is dead. So just that story. It's kind of a little sidebar. I apologize. I get a little turn sometimes. I digress. But again, those relationships are gonna be really important, y'all. Don't let Jane go. Those of y'all who have mentors in project mode, Doc, don't let them know. And you know, another thing that you'll learn is mentorship, relationships. It's not about going for coffee every weekend. It's not about, you know, meeting up and having drinks. Or you come over my house for Christmas. It's not that. Now it may be that because every relationship is different. So you may have friends that become peers that become lifetime friends, colleagues and mentors that become lifetime friends. I can think about Dr. Grusin, who is a journalism professor at University of Memphis, and I go and I do visit her, right? But I've got other mentors I've never seen their house. We've never gone out socially. But I will send an email and say, hey, I'm transitioning to a new role. Just wanted to let you know what I'm up to. How are you? How are things at your organization? Happy New Year, right? I may look in on LinkedIn and see it's your birthday. Happy birthday. That's just, we have a relationship. It's a professional relationship. And those individuals will say, how are things going with you? How are things going at your organization? Where are you working now? What role are you in? Are you looking for new opportunities? When is the last time you updated your resume? Right? Those are the questions that good mentors will ask. Because they're still mentoring you, even if they're not in the classroom with you every day. Okay? We don't have to text. I don't need a good morning text. I don't need that. Right? Now if you send it to me, oh, good morning. You might just feel like sometimes I may text my friends and say, hey, look, I was just thinking about you. I hope all is well. Right? I don't have time to do that every single day for everybody I know though. So again, that true human, staying down even when you come up. We gotta stay down because we are our own support system. And you think about the way capitalism works, and this is just an explanation. It's not a judgment or indictment. It just is what it is. It's a pyramid. There's people at the top. Very few. I read somewhere that 99% of the wealth is controlled by less than 1% of the population. So that's very few at the top. There's a whole lot of people at the bottom. Yeah, working class, blue collar work. Right then we got folks they call it what? Unemployed. Then we got a prison industrial complex. You know a lot. Yeah, I hear a lot of stuff. And what I hear is, you can keep a prison full and you can invest in it now. It's not just, taxpayer dollars. I'd go buy me a jail if I had enough money. And I can employ all kind of people and get all of this money back. I just gotta have people to fill the jail. Who is that gonna be? Right? That's gonna be, who gonna fill the jail? Oh, okay, the poor people.
It's the systematic racism. I've heard this say, what was not slavery, they needed to make them work. Once that work free work, the second president to work class, because they wish here. That's how the system is built.
And you know what? When you read your Constitution, it'll tell you that too. Right? When you're incarcerated, those rights are no longer yours, so you're not free. So yeah, slavery still occurs. And so in order for those people to stay at the bottom, that's the way capitalism works, so the people at the top can stay at the top. There is a lack of education. Because what happens is, and I explain this, when I unfortunately sometimes have to suspend a child from school, or even not suspend and just talk to the parent about why this time I'm not gonna suspend your child. Because they're not in the building, they're not participating in the learning. If they're not participating in the learning, then that means what? They're not grasping the material. If they're not grasping the material, they're not gonna pass the test. You're not gonna pass the test, you're gonna fail the grade. You fail the grade, you're less likely to graduate. Don't fail 2 or 3 of them. Ain't nobody trying to be 17 in 9th grade. But I had them. Guys, I've gone from West Side. We started at the beginning. I was at Hamilton High School. I was at Hamilton, South Memphis. When they closed South Side, they sent all of those students from South Side over to Hamilton. Woo! And they had some social you know what? I'm not even gonna make it pretty. We had gang fights. Folks coming from different states, different neighborhoods, and it was going down. And we had to intervene and try to help those children to understand we in the same situation. All y'all poor black children. I think I might have like 2 black kids. Y'all, we the same. What we fighting about? We're from Hamilton. 5 years at the University of Memphis. Then I went back to Hamilton. I was doing, I think I got my pen on, my Leadership Memphis pen. I was part of the 2013 class, best class ever, no doubt. And we all had adopted schools, and we adopted Hamilton. And I found out that one of the English teachers quit. resigned. And my program that I was running, the journalism program, our grant dollars were going low. And Jan could talk about how grants work. And I saw the writing on the wall that I was probably not gonna have a job. I love teaching. Hamilton. I try to, when I see something that may be divine, I go with it. So I went back to Hamilton, and from there I went to Cordova High. And I coached basketball at Cordova High. And one of my friends, he was the head basketball coach. And leaving Hamilton, and my first day, Terry Scales. And I walked up to him after maybe first day, second day of school. I said, man, y'all stealing. He just bust out laughing. Because the transition that I was doing in the inner city school, breaking up fights and making sure folk don't jump on folk and all of that, it was different when I went to the suburban school. The bell ring, I'm gonna be late. I'm like, yeah, okay, I can get used to this. From Cordova, where else have I been? I left Cordova, ASD, Westside. I was principal at Humes. Elvis Spencer graduated from Humes when it was a high school, and it went down to a middle school. And when I was at Humes, we were the lowest performing middle school in the state of Tennessee. And it was an ASD school, so don't think I'm exaggerating when I say the lowest performing school, okay? I'm at White Station Middle School now, and out of, I want to say 743 middle schools in Tennessee, White Station Middle School ranked 46 in the state. And when I say we're the best school in the city, I mean it. And I'm not saying it because I work there. I'm saying it because I've seen it all. And so, in terms of Humes, when we were ranked with 743 middle schools, we were number 743. Everybody was in front of us. Our school score was 0.00. So, again, when we talk about perspective, right? We in a room with people who know. We know what Memphis looks like. I'm giving you my lens, what I've seen and what I've experienced. So again, that true human, staying down. That's I love it. You know, I worked at youth villages. Residential treatment facility. I was in the top level security, every door locked. When you went in and out, every door locked. And we had young men, they were 8 to 18 years old. And they had such amazing stories that led them to being with us. And my most recent book is Urban Aces, How to Reach and Teach Students Traumatized by Adverse Childhood Experiences. And what I realized was that my trauma, the things that I had gone through as a child, as Gabriel mentioned, they made me stronger and they helped me to evolve. And so when I took that assignment at Hamilton, they gave me a teacher mentor, Miss Love. Miss Love was cool. And he came to my classroom, he said, "You ought to be mentoring me. I come in here, they sitting down doing work." You know, and you know, of course it was a joke, and you know, he was an excellent educator. But for me, as a first year full-time educator, the level of classroom management and the learning environment, it was surprising. And I didn't do anything in my mind special. I was just being myself. But I knew what it felt like to deal with things and to have issues. I remember, and I'm gonna stop naming places with stories now, and because I've been a lot of places, so I'll just say one time, right? I can remember one time I was talking to a student, he was sleeping before school started. So what's going on? Man, they was shooting last night. Police was out, I couldn't sleep. Sorry, young fella. Go ahead and get your rest. Cause I can't ask you this early in the morning to do anything and you haven't had any sleep. And I know you're a good student. You don't come to school to sleep. That's an extenuating circumstance. So I'm gonna give you some grace. Just like they gave me grace when my brother was murdered when I was 16 years old in high school. And I didn't feel great every day. I remember my teacher showed up at Marlon's funeral. And that resonated with me. For one, they taught him too. Both of my older brothers graduated from Westside. So I wasn't Marcus for a long time. I was Marlon Terry, the brother. I was Lil Marlon, Lil Terry, until I let people know who I was. Made a name for myself. But when I got into the classroom, I can remember another time I had a young lady. When I say she would be high, woo! And I talked to her one day, what's going on? And she explained to me that she witnessed her brother gunned down in the driveway. She saw it happen. Her big brother was her hero. And she witnessed him gunned down in her driveway. And to feel better about herself and not do something that may make her situation even worse, she smoked a little marijuana and tried to feel a little better. And I had a conversation with her about how she was going to have to find other ways to cope. And how smoking marijuana was not going to bring her brother back. And she was also going to have to, eventually focus on improving herself. But I didn't make her a villain. I didn't alienate her and embarrass her in front of her classmates. She was already embarrassed enough. So again, staying down. Remember, you needed some grace at some point. Somebody had to help you. No man is an island. You did not get here by yourself. The next word in that, and look, I'm going focusing on the true human for better outcomes. Okay, so that's the true human. The next word, and I didn't go in order. When I look at things, I look at what stands out to me. So when I looked at focusing on the true human for better outcomes, true human jumped off the page and grabbed me. And I said, I gotta get this true human. Because that's where I think the crux of the matter will be, right? This true human. But then I looked at the word focus. Focusing on the true human. And I can't take credit for this. I heard it from my good brother Eric Brent. He's principal at Tresman, but I don't know where he got it from me. Okay, but I'm just saying it ain't mine. Focus, F-O-C-U-S. Follow one course until successful. Follow one course until successful. Who remembers it? Go ahead. That's focus. That's focus. Has anyone ever heard of the rule of thirds? I got some videographers in here and some photographers in here. So the rule of thirds is a photography concept. I see you nod. I'm not gonna put you on the spot. You heard of it? Yeah. Lower third, middle third, high third. So we got lower third, right? And I go over another third, and then we go this way, and we bring it in the third. There's a whole lot to look at. As a photographer, where will we focus? Where? In the center. In the center. In the center. So you want some, if I'm taking a picture of this, I want some head space above, and I want some space below. That way, and I want to center, because you ever look at a picture and people be all everywhere and you don't know where to look? Because the photographer didn't focus. They just took a picture. You can't ask me to take your picture. You ask Dr. Matthews to take your picture, I'm gonna get everybody where you need to be. I'm gonna make sure I got some room above your head. You ever see the picture and the people head be cut off? And you looking at the necktie? Because that's what's in the middle. See, that's poor focus. You got a picture. You have a picture, but it's poor focus. Or one of those pictures and ain't nobody got no legs. Or they off to the side, and so it's like you're looking in the middle of the screen, but your eyes keep taking you over to the side. All of that is poor focus. If you look here, where we have Dr. Salam, you see, if you look at this screen up here, you're automatically going to be pulled into focus. You're going to be pulled to Dr. Salam because he's placed in a prominent position in that middle third in focus. And see, somebody say you gotta make sure the main thing remain the main thing. You must make sure, I'm gonna say it and enunciate in standard American English. They say the cleanest English is spoken in the Midwest. They speak the best version of English. So we must make sure that the main thing remains the main thing. Whatever that main thing is, it must remain the main thing. It must be our focus. Because if we don't have the proper focus, then we're gonna aim our energies in a direction where they don't belong. If we pull the picture over to the side, we won't be looking where we should be looking. If you go to the gun range, they help you focus. They got the little scopes, right? If you're a collector, there are things that help you focus. Following that one course. And see, as college students, you're going to have to compartmentalize. When I talk about compartmentalization, I think about like dressers. If you got a dresser at the house, or drawers, right? You keep your socks here. You keep your scarves here. This part of the closet is where your pants hang. This is where your shirts hang. You compartmentalize so that you can move efficiently and effectively. You know where things are. I put my keys in the same place, right? I put my wallet, I put my eyeglasses, I put things in a specific place. Mama not gonna get you up and get you ready every day. Right? Dad may not be able to drop you off and pick you up. So you have to have that focus. You have to be able to follow the course. And as we said, when we talk about truth, the course for you. Maybe you don't need breakfast. You might be doing some intermittent fasting. So you can get up and not do breakfast and eat after your second class before you go to the library. That may be your route. Or you may need to go get up a little early and hit the gym so that you're fresh. Right? So you're following your course until you're successful. Okay? That's that focus. Focusing. So now we're gonna take that thought of focus and put it on being a true human, right? So our focus is being the true human. It's helping people. It's helping self. It's giving back. The first law of survival is what? Say it again, brother. Self-preservation. When you get on that airplane and the stewardess goes through the instruction, what does she tell you about that mask? Put yours on first. Before you can help anyone else, you have to put your mask on. Before you can save your baby, you got to put your mask on. Before you can go fly the plane, help, you have to be able to breathe. And so we have to remember that in this education piece, you have to take care of one of my own coaches, Coach Moore. Take care of number one. That's what she said. You gotta take care of number one. Who's number one? Who is number one? Okay, look, when I say who is number one, we're gonna say I am number one. And we're gonna say it with some enthusiasm and energy like we mean it. Alright? Who's number one?
I'm number one.
Who is number one?
I'm number one.
Who is number one? Okay, so one of my other friends, he uses that. Mike, that's a good brother. That's a good brother. All right, small world. We all Memphis. Yeah, we were at University of Memphis at the same time. Know Michael very well. And so, in taking care of number one, you got to take care of yourself. So that focus is as Brother Robinson mentioned earlier, you're gonna be a blessing to yourself and others. All right? And so focusing on the true human for better outcomes. Outcomes. What's an outcome?
It's problem.
Finished product. That's one of the words I use. I do bubble maps, and that was one of the words in my bubble map. Produce, productivity, your quality of life. That's the outcome we're talking about. That's the outcome. Anybody else here for a reason other than improving their quality of life or the quality of life of their loved ones? Raise your hand.
But I do like one thing because I know most people are. I notice a lot of minority groups. Either they haven't graduated from school or they're the first person to like. They're the first person in their family lineage to come out. They have a good fathers. I think that's what it's sad. I feel like well, they are struggling. They have a lot. Like their age and stuff like they like the body, Argentinians, Indians. They have like their age and stuff like this. They're very smart, very intellectual, and connected. I feel like nowadays minority groups, again, Africa, the American groups, they have fallen very far from their greatness. I feel like if they do, I feel like they still aren't very smart and they should forget their history or their ancient civilizations lessons.
We're in agreement. And I wish I had time to walk down with you on why you're doing something for the summer. No. Because again, if we walk it down to why you're doing something for the summer, I'm sure it would, at some point, we would get to the place where a career, a job, an opportunity to help myself. And that's why we are here, right? And that quality of life, different. I try to get away from words like better and worse and say a different life, because everybody's not gonna make $1 million. Everybody's not gonna make 6 figures. Everybody is not gonna be the boss. Everybody's not gonna be the CEO, right? There are different walks. And so you want the ability to have the life you want. That's the goal, okay? The life that you want. And I'm gonna go through these points. And they're in my phone. All right, so again, focusing on the true human for better outcomes, intro to college, show up daily. Show up every day for every class. This is your job. It's your job. It's not an option, right? Get involved. Get involved. This is your campus. This is your school. Connect with people. This is your network. This is the opportunity where you have access to people every day that are paid to help you. Connect with these people. Also, connect with your classmates, your peers, because these are going to be the individuals who, down the road, will be able to help you and who you will be able to help. This will be your new network. Regardless of where you started or where you came from, these are your new peers. Read, read, read. Consume the knowledge. We have a great oral tradition, but right now, the way civilization works, we pass information through literature. So read and write. Study. Study. When I was working on my doctorate, I was also working full-time as an educator. I would go to the library on Saturdays and Sundays for 8 hours. And that's what I did my doctoral coursework and work on my dissertation. You gotta put the time in. Participation over presence. Don't just show up. Don't just show up. You gotta show up. Show up. But don't just show up. Participate. Intern. We talked about that. Get your foot in a door. Get your foot in a door. Those of you who are interning now, kudos to you. Continue to do so. Keep your foot in that door. See what's in the room. There'll probably be another door to another room. All right? Submit all assignments. Guys, turn it in early. Read it early. So you can ask the question of your professor. Hey, I don't quite understand what you meant when you said this. How am I supposed to approach this? You can't wait till the night before it's due and then say, I didn't understand, when they gave you a syllabus on day one with all the dates and all the assignments. Turn it in. And lastly, graduate. Get what you came for. Get what you came for. Do not, that goes back to that focus. Focus, follow one course until successful. Success is getting the degree. Okay? Don't leave without it. Don't leave without it. I heard one time about a wrestling match, so I'm not gonna let you go till you give me something. I'm not gonna keep showing up. Y'all gonna give me this grade. Y'all gonna give me this blessing. All right? And I cannot believe it's after 11 o'clock, y'all. I really thought I was gonna be done earlier. And I apologize for being long-winded, but I thoroughly enjoyed you all. I will be here for the remainder of the program. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Please introduce yourself, and thank you for your time.